República do Quênia efetua a República de Moçambique. Domínio da defesa. Retromencionados e do Acordo de Cooperação para o Reconhecimento Mútuo e Troca de Cartas de Condução, convido Sua Excelência Alfred Mutua, Ministro dos Negócios Estrangeiros e Assuntos da Diáspora da República do Quênia, e Sua Excelência Verônica Nathaniel Makamo Ndlovu, Ministra dos Negócios Estrangeiros e Cooperação da República de Moçambique, a dirigirem-se às mesas. Por favor. Portanto, iniciamos com a assinatura do Memorando de Entendimento na área da Agricultura e Pecuária. Segue-se o Memorando de Entendimento na área da Economia. Na área da e desenvolvimento do setor público.
Excellency, and now for the signing of cooperation agreement on mutual support and legal support on penal matters and the transfer of inmates, I now invite His Excellency Justin Muturi, the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya, to join Her Excellency Veronica Makamu, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Cooperation for the Republic of Mozambique. And proceeding with the ceremony of the agreement of cooperation on defense matters, I invite His Excellency Aden Barry Duale, Minister of Defense of the Republic of Kenya, to join Her Excellency Veronica Natariel Makamundovu, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Cooperation in the Republic of Mozambique. Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. Excellency and gentlemen, I now have the honor to announce the end of the ceremony of signing of cooperation and legal instruments between the Republic of Mozambique and the Republic of Kenya, and the beginning of the press conference. Thus, in order to proceed with the press conference, I would like to invite Mr. Arsenio Enriquez, who is the press officer in the Republic of Mozambique, to come to moderate the press conference. Excellency William Samuel Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Excellency Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, Excellencies, with your permission, I now announce the beginning of the press conference and the state visit by His Excellency Samuel William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, to the Republic of Mozambique. First, we are going to have the intervention of Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, President of the Republic of Mozambique, who, after completing his address, will invite the President of Kenya to do the same. Then we will have a moment for questions and answer, where we will ask the journalists to introduce themselves before the questions. In having said so, I would like to invite His Excellency Filipe Jacinto Nyusi, the President of the Republic of Mozambique, to address the audience. Excellency, Mr. President, have the floor. Thank you very much. Excellency William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Head of State and Commander-in-Chief of Defense Forces, dear ministers, dear friends from the press, dear participants, I would like to seize this opportunity to once again welcome my brother, the President William Ruto, and his delegation to Mozambique. Affirmed is a place he visits for the first time, not just as president, but also as an individual. We've just had bilateral conversations in which we talked about many topics. But first, we validated our professionals on what they did in the past, particularly the decisions by the Joint Permanent Commission and the Second Commission. We have noted that our diplomatic relations and economic relations now are undergoing a very good stage. The outcomes are notable day by day. And as a country, we reiterate our commitment and interest to continue working with the government of the Republic of Kenya, which is wisely led by His Excellency President Ruto, so that we strengthen the relations between the two countries. It's important to underscore a key aspect that our relations after the Kenya the relations be accelerated, and this enables the meeting between our two people, particularly in the economic sector. The second session of the Joint Permanent Commission worked in 4 groups: the group of policy and diplomacy, defense and security, economy, and also social affairs. The conclusions are favorable to growth And by the way, we commend one of the outcomes is what we've seen, which is the signature of legal instruments in different areas, as we have just witnessed. We are the understandings we have reached in the mutual support in the application of the two countries. I have to say that we are grateful to Kenya because we were voted on, and not only that, because Kenya mobilized other countries so that we could become non-permanent members of the UN Security Council. And leavings, but we're available to achieved are also a fruit of this genuine collaboration we received from Kenya. In defense and security, we talked not only in bilateral conversations, but also in the tete-a-tete on the situation of terrorism in Mozambique, how it manifests itself, at what stage it is, the support we're receiving from our friends. But we also this Kenya has been giving us, not only now, we have been receiving support over the years in training and exchange of information so that we can fight terrorism, because Kenya knows this evil, even though it manifests itself in different ways in the two countries. We are happy with the support we are given, but we also took the opportunity to define the next steps to be followed in this struggle. And I believe in the coming day, these will lead to better outcomes. There are other aspects we talked about, and tomorrow we'll be able to detail these and the economic and social area. But we talked more on agriculture, cattle raising, trade, transport, mineral resources, and in the area of the technicians who have to support the conservation areas, because we know for it. So we commend the President for this visit, and we know this is an opportunity to deepen our relations, and we express our permanent wish to and willingness to deepen this relation. We talked about aspects of our interests, such as cooperation in the bank. The Kenyan banking system has evolved, is being implemented everywhere in the continent, and Mozambique expressed its interest in training its people in tourism, and the Republic of Kenya is also an international reference in this matter. By the way, many hotels working in Maputo have Kenyans as their managers. But we've also evolved our vision to the world, the position we take before Russia-Ukraine conflict, where we unanimously do not allow the killing of people. Lives would not be lost for whatever the reason. And which we do not support the EU. the emergence of governments which are not democratically elected in West Africa. That should not be allowed. The world has evolved. The powers are transferred peacefully through elections nowadays. So we cannot afford to have a country to draw us back as Africa. President Ruto introduced a topic we've been talking about, which is the reform of the African Union, so that one only voice, which is the African Union, has to speak for Africa, similar to what happens with other international organizations. So this is a matter we are reflecting on, and it is known that we have had debates here in Mozambique on the Pan-African Parliament. It was also the subject of our conversation. So in a nutshell, we are saying that our relationship with President Ruto is being a success. Our meetings are objective. Our second commission laid it clearly what has to be undertaken with deadlines or timelines and responsibilities. And we believe the next step will be a lot more fruitful because the rules of the game have been laid out. Thank you very much. I give you the floor.
All the officials present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I take this opportunity on behalf of the people and government of Kenya and on my own behalf to express tremendous gratitude to President Nyusi for inviting me to take on this state visit. And I have taken the opportunity to thank him and government and people of Mozambique for the exceptional warm reception that has been extended to me, my family, and my delegation in this very beautiful city of Maputo. We have come to Mozambique to reaffirm the strong bonds of friendship between our nations and to express our interest in deepening and strengthening our partnership to enable us thrive now and also to prepare ourselves for the future. Mr. President,
ao país, os colegas quenianos macondes, os povos maconde.
A cultural relationship, a societal relationship between Mozambique and Kenya, that one of the communities from this country is now a Kenyan community, and it signals the bond of friendship between our two countries. Your Excellency, coming to Mozambique,
Moçambique,
to be in Mozambique. So it is historic for me, and I'm sure for many members of my delegation. You have been gracious, Mr. President, to come to our country many times. We don't take it for granted. You have consolidated the relationship between our two countries, started by our predecessors. I know that my predecessor, President Uhuru, was here, and we've built on that foundation to make our two countries take the step to grow our relationship. Allow me, Mr. President, to take this very early opportunity to convey our deepest condolences and sympathies for what happened here with the cyclones and the effects of climate change the people of Kenya stand with you, your administration, and the people of Mozambique in situations that are of difficulty like the ones we witnessed here. Your Excellency, we've had a wonderful interaction between us, and also to commend our officials who've done a tremendous job in building the blocks that will now form the basis and foundation for the thriving relations between our two countries. We've just witnessed various instruments that have been signed, a total of 8, that speak to the priority areas of our next phase of growth and deepening and strengthening of our relations. Your Excellency, 3 very important things stand out from what we have achieved this morning. One is the stability of our countries. The security of our countries is front and center of any meaningful nationhood. And the signing of the agreements on defense and security are significant because we are dealing with a challenge of violent extremism, terrorism, organized crime in our region, and the sharing of the capacities that we have and the sharing of the experiences that we have will make our teams better prepared and more organized to deal with the challenges that comes with security in our region, because we all know that no meaningful development can take place in an environment that's not secure or in a space that's not stable. So, Your Excellency, again, I commend you, commend our teams for the leadership that has been demonstrated, and I want to commit that on behalf of the people that we look forward to cooperation in this space so that we can get rid of terrorists and criminals that are impeding our progress. Your Excellency, the other subject that is very important that has been attended to today is a subject of training and science and building capacities for all our teams in many areas, in agriculture, in the blue economy, in tourism, in the hospitality space. And I want to thank Your Excellency and Mozambique for allowing many Kenyans, I'm told between 1,000 and 2,000, to work from Mozambique in many areas, including scholarships for those who want to train in the hospitality sector, because we have capacities there that we want to share. Your Excellency, we believe that this will not only build capacity in Mozambique, but it will also give us a framework that we can exploit continuously going forward to make our two countries mutually work together for the good of our citizens. The third issue, Your Excellency, which speaks to this visit, is the space around our economy, growing our economies. The Continental Free Trade Area, which we are both signatories, is consolidating the African market so that we can eliminate barriers, roadblocks, and unnecessary bureaucracy that impede movement of people, movement of goods, movement of services. And with the consolidation of the African continent as one trading bloc, Your Excellency, through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we have the opportunity to grow our economies using both the private sector, people who are business people, and I'm very happy that we have a big business delegation from Kenya who will be interacting with the business community in this country so that they can build synergies and partnerships that will allow trade to continue. Again, let me appreciate, Your Excellency, your undertaking to also conclude the issues around the tripartite free trade area agreement as a further mechanism of consolidating our position as a continent and improving the environment for our people to trade, to do business, to carry out their entrepreneurship. And consequently, I have very high hopes that the Kenya-Mozambique Business Forum that is going to take place here will spark a new trade and investment opportunities and unlock partnerships that would build our economies using the private sector and also leveraging on what we are doing in the public sector. I have agreed, Your Excellency, to expedite the process leading to the launch of the Kenya-Mozambique Joint Trade Committee that will again provide a framework for, on a regular basis, for the assessment of whatever challenges our teams encounter as they pursue opportunities in the business, trade, investment, and entrepreneurship space. Your Excellency, presently in Mozambique, there are, as I said, between 1,000 and 2,000 Kenyans working in the business space, professionals working in international organizations, and people who are living here as family members. I do express a lot of gratitude to you, Mr. President, for allowing these many Kenyans to be part of the Mozambique community. There are not as many as the Makonde in Kenya, but I am sure someday along the road we will be able to improve our relations so that more people from Mozambique can come to Kenya and more people from Kenya can come to Mozambique, and to appreciate, Your Excellency, that our two countries have taken the bold step to abolish visa requirements between our two countries. I know sometimes when we do this, criminals take advantage of that situation, but I'm happy that today we have agreed on how to eliminate the bad people so that we can allow the good people to use the facilities that we are putting in place, including the abolition of visa, to drive trade, to drive investment, for people to move, visit, and drive our economic opportunities. I thank you, Your Excellency, for hosting these citizens of my country. They have confirmed to me that they feel very much at home while they are here. And I was very happy to learn from you, Your Excellency, that they are making a very positive contribution to the development of your country, and I will encourage them to continue to do that. Your Excellency, because of the challenges of climate change, and we've seen the effects, not just in Mozambique, even in our region in the Horn of Africa. In the last 1 year, in the Horn of Africa, we have lost 9.5 million heads of livestock to drought. And the same effects that you feel in Southern Africa and in Mozambique in particular, we have the same ravaging effects of climate change. And I want to thank you, Mr. President, for agreeing for us to come and consolidate our position, our thoughts, and our ideas in the Africa Climate Summit that will be held in Nairobi from the 4th to the 6th of next month, as a way of Africa positioning itself, not just as a victim, but also as a place where we can provide solutions, because indeed we believe we have the necessary resources, renewable energy resources, mineral resources, and we have the human capital to provide mechanisms for solutions to climate change, including green growth and mechanisms to decarbonize industrialization and manufacturing globally using the resources we have in this continent. Your Excellency, I look forward to receiving you in Nairobi. As I told you, we would really value your input even ahead of the summit. We are going to share with you the concept notes and the proposed declaration so that we can all consolidate our ideas even as we go to the UN General Assembly and also to COP28. We have asked the presidency of COP28 to participate in the event in Nairobi so that we can begin to inform the outcome of what is going to be in UAE later this year. Your Excellency, let me conclude by congratulating Mozambique for taking up the non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council. We are very proud of the leadership that Mozambique is providing. We are happy that Kenya has worked with your team in New York. And just to confirm to you, Mr. President, as I did, that even though we supported Mozambique being the immediate former occupant of that space, Mozambique are doing better than we did. And I was telling you it's the case of the student being better than the teacher. So again, we appreciate your leadership in that space. And to speak to the global challenges around security that you have spoken to, which I fully associate with, whether it is in Ukraine or in Sudan. And Mr. President, I will brief you later on the discussions we are having under IGAD. I did speak to the President of Egypt a few days ago, and the President of Chad, and I did have an engagement with the President of Ethiopia, even as we provide leadership under the AU IGAD framework to resolve the issues in Sudan, because we believe that the conflict in Sudan is completely senseless and unnecessary. And the kind of destruction of life and property and infrastructure is not justified in any way. And the sooner that conflict comes to an end, the better. We are working collaboratively with the JEDA initiative, the IGAD AU framework, and also the neighbors framework under the chairmanship of Egypt to consolidate all these initiatives. And this morning I spoke to former Prime Minister Hamdok, among the people leading the civilian groups that brings together political parties, civil society groups, women groups, youth groups, together to provide a comprehensive framework on how to resolve issues in Sudan and take the country to civilian rule, democratic civilian rule. And it is the same case, Your Excellency. In Niger, our collective position is that we support ECOWAS and the interventions that they are putting in place to make sure that we avoid and resist the slide into military dictatorships and unconstitutional removal of governments. Africa is a democratic continent, and we believe that Africa has sufficient democratic credentials to be able to manage the affairs of our countries with the legitimacy that comes from the people in democratic elections. And that is the only change of government through democratic elections that guarantees the aspirations of not just our individual countries, but the collective will of the people of this continent. And whatever means necessary that should be used to make sure that these democratic processes are sustained and maintained and protected should be brought to bear to stop those who want to use the barrel of the gun to run the affairs of countries or to manage the issues of our continent. Your Excellency, I once again thank you and the people of this great nation for welcoming us. I look forward to a fruitful visit. And Your Excellency, I'm a farmer myself, so I will suggest on what we can do, the huge resources we have in this continent. There are many people in the business delegation that we will be meeting later this afternoon who are interested in opportunities in farming, so that as a continent we can leverage on the resources that we have to make sure that our continent is food secure and use it to drive our economy. Your Excellency, again, thank you very much. My very best wishes, and God bless all of us. Asante.
Muito obrigado, Excelências. Permita-me, Excelência.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I would like to announce the second part of our press conference by inviting the journalists to present their questions. We will have two questions, one for the Mozambican part and one to the Kenyan press. In summary, we'll have two questions. Firstly, name and also the name of the institution that you represent. Very good afternoon, Honorable President Philip Jacinto Nyusi and the William Rook. My name is Manyiki from RTP. First of all, I would like to raise a question to the two heads of states. This has to do with a situation that weakens in Africa. Kenya and Mozambique are two countries that integrate African Union. In your view, how Africa can be free from the queue? If you allow me, the second question. The second has to do with the situation of Mozambique. The public sector in Mozambique, they claim about the delay in the salary. There are threats that there might be some strike in public sector. Should we pay attention to the state visits and then we'll deal with domestic issue? These state visits, please. I'm going to start. Even that question that you were raising, in different moments that has been being raised, and the issue is being dealt as domestic issue, that the country is available at any time to give the response, not in a just like forum like the. We are working in that way. We hope that explanation to those who think that deserve explanation will have, but there is no any problems related to salary due to lack of resources. There is a new element. We are migrating from one system to the other in terms of criteria on how the salary procedures are made. As you know, we also had a situation of single salary table, which is a new element which changed. So these migrations from one process is bringing those discontinuity that sometimes demands patience, and not that there are no effort of migrating to the system. There is a need of any environment in which people collaborate so that their problems may have a solution. I was speaking with a certain citizen before yesterday, and he said that there are medical doctors who receive 52,000, but now they're above 100,000. So in this case, when we resolve one problem, there are other problems that appear, but we need to have enough calm so that step by step we may resolve 1, 2, 3 problems, and we are going to reach the best moment. If yesterday you had one and today you have two, today that you have two, don't demand 3 and 4 at the same time, because there were about 40 years that you were in the same proportion. And if the ratio goes to 2, it has to be respected, because that means effort, and that effort cannot be neglected and cannot be blocked. We are thinking very high, not just for the officials. Those problems exist all the society. I just want to respect the second question. I also wanted to respond, because the first question was responded, that was addressed by me. I spoke about Sudan. I also spoke about the unconstitutional change, and the President Ruth also transmitted the experience of what is doing based to Sudan, Tunisia, as well as he engaged others in meeting. So that question has been responded. So thank you so much.
Although I didn't quite understand the question. I don't know.
Yes. A primeira pergunta, pode repetir?
I was saying that Africa, there are queues that happens in Africa. I had a two intervention of the head of the state. I would like to hear what is the solution so that Africa can be free from those conflicts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very pregnant and very important question. That we broke away and we broke the chains of colonialism in our continent. And we broke the chains of colonialism because they were imposed on us without our will, without our wish. They were undemocratic. They were not participatory. They were against the majority will of the people of our continents, whether it is the Portuguese here or the British Portuguese in Mozambique or the British in Kenya. These were wills that were imposed on our people without their consent. Our position is that undemocratic, unconstitutional imposition of the will of any government of whatever nature on the people without their consent is wrong, the same way colonialism was wrong. And that Africa can only proceed into the future if we allow the people of our countries and of our continent to determine their destiny and to choose their leaders in democratic means, using democratic means. The way you do here in Mozambique, and the way we do in Kenya, and the way it is done in many parts of our continent. And therefore, as a union in the Africa Union, we are against any undemocratic removal of any government. Coups are not a panacea. They are not a solution to the challenges that we have as a continent. They are as undemocratic as the colonial masters. And we are taking a very firm position as nations, as the Africa Union. Any undemocratic removal of any government immediately earns the expulsion from the Africa Union. They cease to be members of the Africa Union. And as I said, ECOWAS, which is part of the building blocks of the Africa Union, is handling the case, for example, in Niger. IGAD is handling the case in Sudan, because we believe that we should be able to provide a solution as leaders in this continent on matters that concern all our countries. We are all informed that today there is a meeting of ECOWAS, for example, to deliberate on the coup in Niger. Our position is that President Bazoum should be reinstated as the democratically elected president of Niger. And whatever interventions ECOWAS will agree on will have the support of those of us in the Africa Union, so that we can put a stop to the slide to undemocratic government in our continent.
Muito obrigado, Excelência.